Alright, today we're going to make a feed trough out of this piece of pipe. Okay, so what is this piece of pipe? Let's talk about this piece of pipe here that we got. So this is a piece of tube piling that I've got from work. This piece is roughly 9 foot long. These are cut-offs from 45-foot pieces. And what you do with tube piling is you take a pile driver and you pile drive it into the ground where you want to put a structure of some sort. In this case we were doing bridge abutments, which is the end of the bridge. Put them down where you would put your footer for your bridge abutment. And they go down into the ground till they hit what's called bearing ground. And that could be any depth depending on where you're at. In this case, this is what's left of 90 foot. We put two 45-foot pieces in the ground, and most of the cutoffs were from anywhere between 8 foot. They could have been up towards like 15 foot. It varies. They use H-piling for this, which looks like I-beams. Also, they do the same thing with those. I don't know what the difference between the two is. Why tube versus H-piling? The tubes are capped off so they can't get dirt and stuff in them, and then we fill them with concrete. The H-pile, they put a little point on it and drive it down into the ground, and they determine bearing ground by how many hits per inch that it takes to get it down. So 10 hits to an inch or whatever. Ours was 10 hits to a quarter inch. So they determine that by markings that we put on them. Hopefully you guys can see that. Got a foot, and then those are all inch marks, and then we just lay something across the pile hammer and we watch it. The hammer will hit it and it'll bounce, and the Department of Transportation has a spec that it's got to meet. And yeah, this one, there's a number on it, I can't make it out. 85, I think that's 85 right there. Yeah, there's 90. So, and then this hole, this was the top. There's a hole on each side. I don't know why we did a hole on each side. It should just be on one side. We'll put that hole in it, and then there's a special clamp that slides over it, and you pull 2 strings and it shoots a pin through it, and that's how we lift them and everything. But the pile hammer, it's got a ring that goes inside and a ring around it, and it just hammers away at it. Sit there and watch it. The first 45 feet usually goes pretty fast. But anyways, that's a little bit about what this is and how I got it and some stuff that I've done at work. But what we're going to do, I want a 16-foot feeder, so I'm going to measure out 8 foot, and we're going to cut it. And then we're going to cut it in half long ways, and this leftover piece I'm going to cut in half, flip it over, weld it to the bottom, and that'll be the feet, and we'll see how that works. We might have to tweak it, but what we have to do is first get our mark that way, and I might actually cut it in half long ways first and then cut off the foot piece. So we'll have to put a mark on it and then measure for straight across, so that way we get a nice even piece and it's not too goofy looking, and doing pipe can kind of be a challenge. So we will get it laid out here. Okay, I got it marked out. So there's a seam in this pipe where they're fused together or whatever, welded together, whatever they do when they form these pipe, and I made a mark there, and I got a mark straight across from it. And how I determined that is I took a string, I ran it around the outside, pulled it kind of tight, and marked it, and then I laid it out, pulled it kind of tight, about the same tension I had before, because you know this string can stretch a little bit. So about the same tension I had, marked halfway, and then from the halfway mark on that line to the end, I put that mark, and then I checked it the other way, and we're close. So about as close as I can get it. I'm not a professional. That's a tip that I picked up off TikTok or something, and I did the same to this side, and I got that seam, so I know we're on the same plane and we're not going to be doing some kind of Healy arc looking thing, and marked them. And then I measured, so this is the end that was cut off, and I didn't cut that because it's obviously as straight as an arrow. Somebody free-handed that. I don't know, maybe I cut it. I've cut some of these. So I pulled off of there, and I got my 8-foot mark there, and I got another little thing we'll use to mark that when the time comes. But what I'll do now is we'll roll our seam side up. You can kind of see the seam right along through there. We're going to take a chalk box, we'll mark it, and really I don't even have to take a chalk box. I think I got a piece of angle iron long enough. We'll just clamp to the sides and cut it, and hopefully I can cut it straight. I'm sure it'll require some grinding so it's not so sharp and jagged and stuff. We'll see how good I am with the torch freehanding. I have a set of sawhorses that would bring this up to my level. We might put them on there, but either way, when I bring you back, we'll be ready to cut. Okay, we got stuff set up and we got some PPE on. Let's see what happens.
2 hours later.
Well, you see we got that cut. See how it split apart there. You guys could probably see it was splitting apart at that end when I was, you know, just a couple feet down. But that ain't too bad of a cut, I don't think. It's a little shaky down here because I started at this end and I kind of come back and I had my angle off. But grinder will take care of that. This stuff, this metal, it's 1/2 inch thick, I believe, or just under 1/2 inch thick, but it's got, I don't know, you'll be cutting and all of a sudden it'll stop and then it'll just, the hole will get real big and then blow out, and you get stuff like that in it, and it doesn't cut real smooth. I don't know if it's the way the metal is, how it's made or what, but like when I cut sheet pile, it's thicker. I have some of that here too that I scrounged up for projects. When you cut it, it's the same way. I don't know if it's just like a rust pour or I don't know, but you get blowouts like that every so often, and it's hard on my back leaning over. I was going to put this on sawhorses, but I can't pick it up, and I didn't really want to fire the excavator up and bring it in here and set this up. So we'll roll it over and we'll cut the other side, and then I might put it up. I could probably handle half of it, put half of them, each half up here, and we'll cut to our length, and then we'll do some grind, and we'll have to bevel the end where we're going to weld it, and then touch up the cuts so that way they're nice, and then probably get to some welding. I'm trying to decide how I want to do the feet. I originally was going to take the cut off pieces and just flip them over and put them on the bottom, run the same way, but I think I'm going to run them long ways. I think that's a better idea yet, and we'll just probably split the difference between them and weld them on. So let me get this cut. I'm not going to film it. You guys just watch me cut that. I probably put it in fast motion because it took me a little bit, but anyways, I'll bring you back, and it'll probably be on the sawhorses. Okay, I got them up there. That wasn't too bad. I marked out my 8 foot, and I got this pipe wrap thing. It's a Curvomark wraparound contour sales corp who makes it thing. I don't know anything about it. I found it. It's got inches and centimeters maybe on it. I don't know, but it's for making inches to the foot, degrees. I don't know nothing about it. It's for doing elbows and stuff on pipes, and maybe one day I'll learn, but this is the first time I ever used it. Use it to make my marks on this raise. I was going to use this to find where my cut was when we used the string, but that wouldn't go all the way around the pipe with numbers, so it wouldn't do me no good really. So now that we got these in a comfortable position, should be able to freehand this pretty good. I'm pretty proud of my freehand. I'm not the greatest, but I'm good enough that I'm proud of it. So now that it's comfortable, that's the main thing with any job you do. You got to get comfortable. There's no point trying to rush through it uncomfortable, because you're just going to get mad and lose your temper, and the job's just not going to go smooth. I've been doing some work with my buddy and some of the people that have been working with him. I'm like, get comfortable. It makes the job go faster in the long run. Yeah, it may take you about 5-10 minutes to go find what you need to get comfortable, but they probably save you double that in the long run. So we got it up high where it's easy for me to work on, and we'll get this first one cut. too bad. I had a little goof going on here. Truck towards the top, I had a couple spots that they were doing what I was telling you they were doing. They wouldn't want to light, and then they'd kind of blow out. And they don't look too bad. I'd take that. The welder will fill in the imperfections. So I'm gonna cut that one, and then I'm gonna take a little break. Okay, you seen we got her ground. I wire brushed it to get all the loose slag out, and we got her mocked up on the floor to weld here. And it's not quite 100% straight. We have already a pretty good gap, and I could probably shave some off that side, but it's just a feed trough. I'm not going to get too crazy with it. I'm going to fill the gap that's there. I want it straight though. My brain, that's too far. To my eye, that looks straight. It's hard to put a straight edge on it because it does just have the ever so slight little twist to it. But that's straight. And I mean, we got a pretty good gap there. But I don't want to. Don't want to trim that just because it's going to add to the process, but I don't know. Let's cheat it back as far as my eye will let me. You guys won't be able to tell. I mean, that's where I want it right there. I guess I could probably fill that gap. We're gonna go that route. We're gonna try to fill that gap and everything. So let me get the welder set up, and we'll I would say stack some dimes, but I'm not very good at doing that. I'm better at cutting them up and making nickels. So let's get that set up and try some of that. Well, I got it welded. It's not very pretty at all. I'm gonna have to do some grinding. I'm not gonna worry too much about grinding the bottom side. I'll just touch up where stuff will hit it, and then I'll have to grind the inside smooth. But I got my legs mocked up here, and I thought about having them with the cup like that. Well, they'll kind of sink in the ground that way, and it's going to be a little bit easier to weld, and this way I could skid it around and probably be just a little bit easier. I'll end up cutting the points off after I get it welded up. But what I'm going to do is, since it's on the concrete and the concrete's fairly level, I'm just going to rest a level on those to get them halfway decent and weld them into place. And then I'll probably bring you back when we're ready to set it out after it's done. There's really no point in welding because you guys can't, or videotaping me welding because you guys can't really see anything anyways. So I'll bring you back when it's finished. Well, there it is. My weld's not the prettiest, but it's smooth. I got the corners of the pipe smoothed out. Went over went over that with the grinder, went over those with the grinder, and then I went over everything with a flap wheel. All the cuts and welds, except the cuts down there, they're back far enough and they shouldn't be an issue. So everything's smooth to the touch, and I'm not gonna put anything on the ends for now. The feeder I have now has wood across it with a gap at the bottom so I can sweep them out, and I don't have a problem with losing feed out of the ends, and I can't always sweep it out. That little hole can get plugged up with snow and stuff, so we're gonna leave it open for now and see how it works. So you can see it's dark out now. Probably tomorrow we will go and put this in and see how it works. I'll get all the metal shavings out of it, blow it out, maybe wash it off, but other than that, we're done with this. It's taken me probably a few hours. It's been 3 days. I've worked on it a few hours each day, and spent the most time probably grinding and making everything not sharp and everything. And I don't have anything into it other than time, a few welding rods, and a grinding disc that I wore out, so because I got this stuff from work. But that should be the last trough I'd ever have to buy. I shouldn't have to replace it as long as my welds don't break. I don't think I'll ever have to work on it, and even if they do break and I do have to re-weld it, that's just re-welding it. That's no big deal. So anyways, we'll bring you back tomorrow when we're putting it in the cattle pen. Okay, we got the new feeder brought up, and it's time for the old feeder to come out. I'd still use this feeder, but they broke that board. There's a knot there. I imagine a goat or something got on it. I don't think the cows would be that close to it. And I didn't have a good way to secure the plastic pipe in there, and it's that piece was completely loose. This piece was still where it was. And we just need a different feeder. So there's 3 posts on the front. I left them screwed in. I removed the screws from the wood posts, and I'm gonna see if I just can't get up underneath of it and kind of pick everything out together. So if we find a spot to set you guys up. Okay, it's in there. Now I said I'd probably set it up on some cinder blocks. I need to redo this. They got this whole area wallered out in here, and I'm gonna add stone. So I'm just gonna wait. We're gonna use it as is until I get stone and make everything pretty in here. I'm on the fence about changing these cattle panels out for something else because they're bowed and wobbling. I might pull the cattle panels out, put in another wood post in between, and maybe stretch some actual woven wire or something, or maybe do wood. I don't know. I just not real thrilled with these cattle panels, and it didn't help that I bumped them with the excavator. But anyways, it's in there now. Let's feed them and see what it looks like. you go. That's how you build the last feed trough you'll ever need. It took the cows a minute to warm up to it. I'm sure it smells funny. Probably tastes a little funny too, but they'll get used to it. Now I just need to figure out how to keep the animals out of it. Mainly the goats. I mean, I don't think the cows are going to get in it, but I'll like it a lot more once I get the pen leveled up around it and it's a little bit higher up and not tilted. But I would ideally like to have it on the outside and have to reach through the fence, but then I'd probably have a hard time keeping the goats inside the fence. So this is what we got for now, and it'll work good. And this one's portable. I can move it around, so if this gets too sloppy I can walk it out into there and feed them out there. So you can put this along your fence line, out in the middle of your field, in your barn, wherever you want to put it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this, and we'll catch you on the next one.